This handbook was developed to provide juveniles with an overview of the rules and expectations of the facility. It does not include all juvenile rights, rules, and discipline. Wittenberg Hall Management reserves the right to adjust and modify the rules and regulations to preserve the order, security, or safety of the child, the public, the staff of the detention facility, or other children who are detained in the detention facility. During your time at Wittenberg Hall, we want you to be safe, provide you with your basic needs, and provide a caring educational environment. Wittenberg Hall is a detention facility for the temporary holding of juveniles who have been accused of violating the law. A decision has been made to detain you at this facility. This decision was made either by a probation officer, juvenile master, judge, or district judge. Only the judge can order your release. Detention hearings are held Monday through Thursday at 2 p.m. and Fridays at 11 a.m., excluding holidays. You will meet with your probation officer and an attorney prior to your detention hearing. There are 3 alternatives to detention that may be suitable for that only a judge can approve: release to a parent guardian, house arrest, and electric monitoring. Therefore, you should discuss your options with your probation officer and attorney prior to your detention hearing. The judge may decide to continue your detention or to release you. The detention hearing is only a preliminary hearing and just the beginning of your experience with the judicial system and probation services. Your case may be assigned to a probation officer from a probation assessment unit if you do not already have an assigned probation officer. You may also have to appear in court for many other hearings, including reviews, pleas, dispositions, and trial. Every case may differ, so be sure to work closely with your attorney and assigned probation officer to keep your case moving smoothly. You may request to see your probation or parole officer by writing a pink slip that will be placed in their mailbox. This is a request only and is usually done in the mornings, however, may be completed at staff discretion throughout the day. You may access one of the Collect Call System phones to contact your attorney's office as needed. Instructions are posted next to the phones in living units. The first thing you need to realize and accept is you are here to stay until you are released. The second thing to pay attention to is the rules that are necessary to ensure your rights and safety, as well as the rights and safety of others. If you work with us, show us good attitude, and display cooperative behavior, your time in detention will be a successful learning experience and as pleasant for you as possible. During your stay, you will be expected to participate in activities that include school, programs, housekeeping, and recreation. If you do not participate, you may be placed in your room for the duration of the activity and may lose points on the incentive-based program. You will receive your juvenile rights and sign prior to moving to the back. While detained at this facility, you will have rights that will not be infringed on. If you feel your rights are violated, please fill out a grievance. Remember, everyone is treated equally here. You will be protected from physical and emotional abuse and harassment. If you feel that you have been abused in any way while detained, notify a staff member immediately. If you are being intimidated or threatened in any way, notify a staff member immediately. While in your room, the following rules must be followed. No unnecessary noise of any kind is allowed when you are in your room. No talking, whistling, or singing in your room. You will lose points for your incentive-based program score, or you may receive corrective room restriction, or CRR. Before entering your room, place your sweatshirt on your assigned unit seat and your shoes outside the door. While in your room, stay on your bed. You may have one reading book, a journal, one approved self-help book, and one religious book in your room. Due to security reasons, we do not allow hardback books or books over 500 pages in the room. Religious books, i.e. Bible, are an exception and must be one provided by our facility. While in your room, if you have any emergency, press the intercom button. Staff will respond as soon as possible. Stay on your bed, be quiet, and stay away from your door. You can read or work in your journal. There should be no noise after lights out at night unless it is an emergency. Remember that this is for the safety and security of all juveniles. If you choose not to follow this rule, it may result in loss of incentive-based program points or may result in corrective room restriction. Unpeeled oranges and apples are not allowed inside of your room. If you are having trouble remaining calm within your room, you may request a stress ball for that time period. Please understand that these must be returned when asked by staff or when you leave your room. Stress balls may not be used in any manner that becomes an annoyance or threat to yourself or others. Stress balls can be squeezed or tossed and should not be thrown off the walls. Due to safety concerns, please understand that your head and neck must be visible to staff while in your room. If staff cannot be sure of your safety, they may ask you to remove any items, such as sheets, blankets, or clothing that are restricting their vision of your head and neck. While you're in the unit, the following policies must be followed. You must sit in the assigned seat given to you by staff. Do not enter any area or other room without permission. Ask permission to go anywhere from staff. Do not talk table to table. All conversation must be appropriate. No foul language, racial remarks, displaying of gang signs or gestures, or any disruptive behavior of any kind is allowed in this facility. If you do, you may receive corrective room restriction. Do not touch the TV or DVD. Staff members will make necessary adjustments. There will be no talking during TV viewing. You are not allowed to exchange phone numbers or addresses with other juveniles detained here. While detained here, English must be spoken due to security reasons. If you do not speak English, detention staff will make seating arrangements to put you with someone appropriate that can help with communication. Bilingual juveniles must use English. Failure to comply with this may result in corrective room restriction. Absolutely no talking while in line. Showering and dental hygiene are mandatory daily activities. You must follow staff members' instructions during these activities. Not completing these activities may result in your being placed in your room for the day. The following policies must be followed. You must shower daily while detained. Refusal to shower may result in being in your room for the remainder of the day. After completing showers, you must present your used clothing to staff before placing them in the unit laundry bin. You will receive clean clothing daily. Lotions, spray deodorants, and a comb will be provided for you after showers. Facility soap and shampoo are provided for showers, which can be located in the shower units. Conditioners will be offered daily to all juveniles. You will brush your teeth twice a day while detained, once in the morning and again before going to bed. Refusal to participate in dental hygiene may result in a loss of incentive-based program points. While you are detained here, you will follow a certain dress code. Refusal to comply with the facility dress code may result in corrective room restriction. The following dress code must be maintained. Shirts must remain tucked in except during recreation. Any juvenile with shoulder-length hair or longer must pull their hair in a ponytail or bun during meals. Juveniles may not have more than one hair tie in their hair. Pants are to be worn as they hang from the waist in the correct size. No sagging of pants or rolling up of pant legs above the ankle. Pants should be cuffed only enough to show the shoes and limit wear from dragging on the ground. While you are attending dining, you must follow these rules. No talking in line and no communication of any kind with the opposite gender or other units. Staff members will hand out plasticware to you. Make sure your plasticware is not cracked or broken. If it is broken, tell a staff member immediately. If If you are missing a fork, knife, or spoon at the end of the meal, a search will be conducted on all detained juveniles present at the meal. Sit down at the seat assigned to you. Do not talk during dining. Do not get up without permission from the staff. You must finish items taken from the salad bar completely if you want seconds. Staff will call you up for seconds by table assignment. You must leave your plasticware on the table while getting your seconds. When you are finished with your meal, place your plasticware in your cup with the eating side up. You will be told by staff when to bring your tray, cup with your plasticware inside, eating side up, and your napkin to the trash can. Your eating area should be clean prior to you being dismissed from the table. Make sure staff acknowledges you and accounts for your plasticware before dumping in the trash. No eating while in line. Only 2 juveniles are allowed at the salad bar at one time. Do not crowd one another. Be polite to the cooks and food servers. Good table manners are expected. More instructions may be given before each meal. Listen carefully. If you violate these rules and cannot behave at the table, you may eat your meals in your room. You must attend school in this facility. The following school rules will be followed while attending school. You must do your schoolwork or you may lose points in the incentive-based program. No rude language or swearing is allowed. Ask permission to leave your seat. Pencils are counted, and you must hand one in at the end of each class. If a pencil is missing, a search may be made of all juveniles attending that class. Do not do any unauthorized writing or drawing on any school materials. Raise your hand if you have any questions. Refusal to attend school may result in you being in your room for the day. These rules apply when attending any class or program in Wittenberg Hall. While attending outside recreation or gym with your unit, you must follow these rules. Good sportsmanship and appropriate behavior will be maintained during recreation. You will participate in the specified activity or you will remain in your room. All youth will stretch before participating in recreational activity, including walking. Light physical activity classifications cannot participate in organized recreational activities. They will be afforded time to participate in light activities on a daily basis. This activity will be limited to walking laps and stretching exercises in the recreation area while the remainder of the unit is present. If you are walking laps for any reason, you must remain separated from the other juveniles and must walk in a counterclockwise direction. Poor sportsmanship will earn a point deduction or corrective room restriction time and possible loss of recreational privileges. You must be moving while outside. Sitting down during recreation is not permitted, and you will be sent back to your room if you cannot participate at an acceptable level. You will be given the opportunity to write postcards to your family or friends while being detained here. Phone calls and visit will be allowed as well. However, the following communication rules must be followed. You can send and receive mail daily. Letter writing will be done daily during free time or any time a juvenile detention specialist allows, excluding school and programming. Complete rules for letter writing will be explained. You will be provided with postcards and pencils. All pencils must be accounted for after letter writing is completed. If a pencil is missing, a search of all juveniles may be conducted to find the pencil. No gang references or names of detained juveniles will be allowed in your letters. You may not correspond with other individuals in other facilities. Individuals with whom you have been prohibited from associating by your terms of probation or court order, individuals that may be co-defendants in your case or the victims of your case. Address your letters to the intended recipient with their full name and mailing address. Your full name should appear below the return address that is printed on the postcard. Do not draw pictures or put any unnecessary writing on the postcard, as this may make it undeliverable. All mail will be checked, excluding privileged mail. You will receive 2 free phone calls after you are detained to contact your parent or guardian. You may also contact your employer or minister. After that, you can make phone calls to approved parties every day as long as you have acceptable behavior. These calls are collect only. You may phone your social worker, attorney, minister as needed. These calls are free. You may call your parents or guardians only. You can earn extra phone calls through the incentive-based program by earning a teal shirt. These calls will be completed at a time designated by staff using the collect call system. Staff will approve the number and it will be adjusted to a free call. Phone calls are made during free time on the unit. Phone calls are limited to 10 minutes. The phone system will automatically terminate your phone call after 10 minutes. If you do not follow staff instructions, your call will be disconnected and you may lose your phone privileges. Calls are only made when staff has a designated phone call time and in order of their requests. Phone calls are recorded and are subject to review. Violation of the rules will result in phone privileges being suspended and/or revoked. Visitation with your parent, guardian is encouraged during your detainment. Parents, step-parents, legal guardians, grandparents, and biological children can visit with the permission of probation and/or detention manager. Visits from clergy of your respective faith are permitted through the approval of probation and/or the detention manager. All visits, except with attorneys and clergy, are subject to both audio and visual observation as well as recorded. You are not allowed to accept or deliver anything during a visit. Examples: candy, food, drugs, mail, pictures, etc. You are not allowed to speak about any juveniles detained at this facility during your visit. All visiting rooms have a call button located on the wall in the event you have an emergency or wish to terminate your visit. You will be searched by detention staff upon the completion of your visit. No electronic devices are allowed in the visiting rooms. No tobacco products are allowed in the visiting rooms. Visitors who have been drinking or are under the influence of alcohol or drugs, and persons whose behavior is errant or belligerent will be denied the privilege of visiting you. Breaking the rules will result in visiting privileges suspended and/or revoked. While you are in Wittenberg Hall, your attitude and behavior will be monitored. You alone are responsible for your behavior and the rewards your behavior brings. Program details are posted in the living units. Ask staff if you have any questions about the incentive-based program. You may not argue about your score, but make sure you check your score and advise staff if your total score was incorrect. There are 7 categories in your incentive-based program. 1. General attitude. 2. Work habits. 3. Hygiene. 4. Staff relations. 5. Peer relations. 6. School. 7. Programs. Bonus points are given for extra work, reaching a behavioral goal set by staff, going above and beyond in a certain area, or as incentive for extra effort. The staff assigns jobs, so do not ask for specific work. 0 score may result from corrective room restriction. 1 is the lowest score, and 5 is the highest score you can receive. You may call your recognized religious leader as needed and may visit with them as needed. If you do not have a minister or priest but would like to visit with one, we will contact the Wittenberg Hall Religious Coordinator for you. Non-denominational church services are offered every other Sunday. Participation is voluntary. Juveniles in corrective room restriction, classified as LA or LUT, who are not considered a threat for aggressive behavior, may request one-on-one visitation with the religious coordinator during regular scheduled church services. The Department of Juvenile Services does have a therapist on staff that you may access during your stay by simply asking staff. If it is an emergency and you need to speak with a therapist immediately, tell a staff member and they will notify the therapist. If you feel disciplinary action against you was unjustified, feel that you have not been treated fairly, or you feel that some conditions are not acceptable, you have the right to file a complaint or a grievance. A grievance is defined as a circumstance thought to be unjust or injurious by an individual or group and is the grounds for complaint, resentment, or resistance. Your rights will be protected by the detention staff. You may appeal any conditions by submitting a written grievance. Written grievances may be placed in one of the locked mailboxes in any of the central pods or the educational area. These boxes will be checked daily, Monday through Friday, excluding holidays, by the detention manager or designee. Within 48 hours, a staff member assigned to investigate your grievance will discuss it with you in person, and you will receive a written response to your grievance within 3 working days after the initial interview. The detention manager or designee will review all pertinent information and investigate the complaint before rendering a decision. You will receive a written notice regarding the decision. That decision can be appealed by notifying the detention manager or division director. There is no punishment for filing grievances. Remember, no grievances can be made on the incentive-based program scoring system. Remember, juvenile detention specialists are here to help you. Their experience enables them to understand young people who are having problems. Feel free to talk to them at any time. If you do not understand a rule or instruction, it is your responsibility to ask a staff member to explain before you make assumptions and end up in your room. During your stay, you may get angry or upset and feel like taking a time out away from the group. You may request to go to your room and calm down in order to prevent a situation from getting worse. You will not lose points from your incentive-based program score, and you will not lose any privileges you have earned. You may request a timeout at any time except when you are serving corrective room restriction. A timeout request will be allowed during school with the approval of staff. If the use of a timeout during school hours shows a pattern of non-participation, you may receive a point deduction in the incentive-based program. The length of the timeout will be determined by staff, but will be a minimum of 15 minutes. If you have difficulty following the rules, your behavior may result in your being placed in corrective room restriction or CRR. Staff members control the facility. Do not make the mistake of thinking you understand the rule and then receive CRR for breaking that rule. If you are not sure of what is expected of you, ask a staff member to explain it for you. During CRR, you will eat meals in your room. Pending the actions of your behavior, your bedding could potentially be removed while you serve your corrective room restriction time. Your bedding will be returned based on your attitude and behavior. If you received a corrective room restriction, you have the option of either a journal or a book in your room to help alleviate any frustration you may be experiencing. If you are not disturbing others and are showing compliance with staff requests, you'll be allowed your bedding back if you desire. This will be determined by the juvenile detention specialist or supervisor on duty. You will always be given the opportunity to discuss your behavior with staff. There are several options staff may use to maintain control. You personally or the entire group may receive a verbal warning about your behavior. This could result in a loss of points in your incentive-based program score. Another option is CRR. You will be placed in your room for the violation. Your behavior and attitude will determine when you can return to the group. Fighting and attempting or planning an escape will result in your being placed in your room. You may receive limited activity status, LA, or lockup threat, LUT, or any combination of these disciplinary actions. More consequences may follow if you continue to break facility rules. You can also be charged and booked for anything that would be considered a crime outside this facility. These charges may include, but are not limited to, destruction of county property such as tagging or graffiti in any area of the facility, threatening or assaulting another detainee, staff, volunteer, or visitor. Any charges added while you are detained may delay your release from this facility, as well as add restitution charges, and will only add to the problems you are currently facing. Your behavior and attitude is reviewed by management staff on a daily basis in order to remove you from corrective room restriction, LA, or LUT status as quickly as possible. The final option staff can use in controlling your behavior is LUT status, lockup threat. This is the most serious and restrictive level. You may spend up to 23 hours of your day in your room away from the general population. You will be allowed out of your room for 1 hour of large muscle exercise daily. The exercise walking will be done under direct supervision of staff. Whenever you are out of your room, you will be in shackles and handcuffs. You will complete school assignments in your room. Visitation and phone calls will be scheduled in the same manner as that for other detained juveniles. If placed on the status, you will be reviewed on a daily basis. Your status will be reviewed every day by the detention manager or designees for possible status change until you are moved to LA. If you are placed in CRR, including LA and LUT, for any rule infractions, you will be encouraged to fill out a fix-it sheet. If the supervisor on duty feels your fix-it sheet is done with sincerity, after talking with you and other juveniles or juvenile detention specialists involved, your CRR time may be reduced or removed, and you may receive some of your incentive-based program points back. If you do not agree with the decisions made by the supervisor on duty, you may file a grievance. In the event of a safety or emergency situation, juveniles will be given direct orders by staff that must be adhered to immediately in order to ensure the safety of everyone. There may be an emergency when staff will order you to immediately lay face down on the ground. This must be done immediately or you may receive CRR time. You should remain on the ground until instructed by staff. Control will be maintained for the safety of everyone in this facility. Your stay can either be difficult for you or comfortable. You are responsible for your behavior. It is your choice. Please understand that the Washoe County Department of Juvenile Services and Wittenberg Hall have a zero-tolerance policy against all forms of sexual abuse and sexual harassment. This includes by staff, volunteers, visitors, or juveniles. Sexual abuse or harassment can and does happen to males and females. These situations may also take on various forms, including physical or verbal abuse. Physical sexual abuse occurs when a person physically touches or tries to touch another person's private parts, either on top or under the clothes. Verbal sexual abuse occurs when a person threatens to touch private parts of another person. Private parts include the penis, vagina, inner thigh, buttocks, or breast. Sexual harassment includes repeated and unwelcome sexual advances by another person. Verbal comments or gestures of a sexual nature that include demeaning references to gender, sexual, suggestive, or derogatory comments about body or clothing, or obscene language or gestures will not be tolerated. Staff or detainees who engage in sexual abuse and/or harassment of anyone are to be reported to a trusted staff member. Examples: detention staff, therapist, nurse, probation officer, detention manager, or by utilizing one of the grievance boxes in the detention center. Please understand that you can report any of these forms of abuse or harassment to a friend, family member, staff member, or someone that you feel you can trust, as well as by utilizing one of the grievance boxes in the detention center. All persons within this facility are expected to immediately report forms of abuse or harassment, even if the abuse harassment happens to another person and you witness it. These reports will always be treated as a serious allegation and investigated thoroughly by the department or another law enforcement agency. Anyone who assaults, abuses, or harasses another person will face criminal charges. Retaliation against a victim or the person who reported the abuse will not be tolerated by this department. All victims, witnesses, and informants will be protected from retaliation. False reporting will have consequences. Everyone has the right to be free from sexual abuse and sexual harassment. Remember, juvenile detention specialists are here to help you. Please remember that our department strives to provide a safe, secure, and caring environment for everyone that enters, and it is essential that we all work together to keep everyone safe.